Namaste. Welcome to class. Finding your comfortable seat, making sure that you've got something comfortable. Today I pulled in a cushion to sit on. And letting your legs be supported. Yesterday I was working on forward bending and was just reminded how calming forward bending can be to the mind, to the body. So today that's going to be our focus for asana, is preparing ourselves for some delicious, wonderful forward bending as we wind down the class, okay? And that usually means at the hip, so we have to work at our hip joint first. So finding your comfortable seat, I even propped up my legs with my block so that my adductors can relax. I'm up on a cushion, so I'm finding a comfortable place before I begin the practice. Shoulders are relaxed, ears are very far from the shoulders. And I'm resting my hands for a moment with the palms facing down, just containing my energy for a moment. Making contact with the floor and relaxing everything that's making contact with the floor. And then consciously flipping the palms over into receiving mode. Feeling that interconnection that all of us have, no matter where we are, we can still connect together through this invisible network, through space. So just letting your eyes take a soft gaze down to the floor or closing them completely. And just bringing yourself into receiving mode. As you breathe in, letting the breath come in with the thought of receiving all the universe has to offer you today. And as you breathe out, giving the universe what it needs with your CO2, your exhalation, inhaling what you need and exhaling what the universe needs. This symbiotic relationship with you and the space around. Just taking a few breaths in this calming space with your palms upright. And then on your next inhale, bringing the hands into the heart, Anjali Mudra. With gratitude, we salute all the great yoga masters, past and present. Special prayer of thanksgiving for Baba Hari Das. With joy, we recognize the excellent teachings of Ayurveda and yoga. And with vigor, we dedicate ourselves to self-transforming practice. So asking yourself, what do you need this morning from your practice? Usually the first thing that pops into your mind. Contemplate it for just a moment, that need that you've established. And then taking it and letting it rest in your heart space, we'll bring it back at the end of class. If you are where you can, please join me in one resounding Om. Exhaling the breath out and taking in a nice big inhale to chant. Letting your eyes flutter open as you inhale. Good, and then just resting your hands again on your legs with the palms facing down. Again, containing ourselves for just a moment, accepting all that you brought in. And then making some nice big circles with the torso over the pelvic basket. Keep your spine in all of its natural curves as long as you can. Good. Right sit bone, tailbone, left sit bone, pubic bone, just rotating over the pelvic floor. And when you get to the front, let's go back. Rotating over the femurs, over our hip joint. Good. Come on all the way to the front again. And then just be in that little forward bend for a moment. Just rest your hands somewhere on your legs. You can even rest on your elbows or forearms. And just notice where your back, how your back is feeling this morning. Just ask yourself, how is my back feeling? Breathe into the rib cage. Good. Breathing into the thoracic spine, just breathing in, taking it to the back part of the body, consciously breathing into the back body. Keep the front body relatively still. Feeling the kidneys swell. They're in the space right underneath your low ribs. Good. So just noticing where you feel comfortable in this tiny little forward bend. Okay? Then bring your hands back to the legs, elbows back behind you. Press up so that you're using your arms rather than your back to pull into the coming up and down. And then let's take some cat poses. So coming onto our knees into all fours, hands and knees on the floor. And from here, making sure your wrists, I'll do a side version, making sure your wrists are underneath your shoulders and your hands are actually in front of the shoulders. And then your knees are not close, not too far, right underneath your hips. Good. So it's really important that you first establish your curve. So relax your feet, press into your hands, find your natural curve. Let your low back have its natural lumbar curve. Let your neck have its cervical curve. So looking at the floor, a little bit beyond your mat, not too far. Good. So finding that space. And then we're going to exhale as we arch the spine toward the ceiling, tuck the chin into the chest, bring in the pubic bone. And then inhale back to neutral. Just find that neutral space. Exhale the opposite direction. Arch the belly toward the floor. Back of the head toward tailbone, tailbone toward back of the head. And inhale back into neutral. So follow your breath. Exhaling with the movement, with the arch, and inhaling back into neutral. Follow your breath. 2 or 3 more rounds. Press into the floor. Press with the feet, with the hands. In both directions. Press into the floor. Only when you come back to your inhale, to your neutral spot, you relax a little bit. Then you really engage. Belly, pelvic floor, everything. Good. And then in neutral. So we're going to take our first forward bend by just spreading our knees apart, taking our toes together, so big toes are touching in the back, and then taking our hips to our heels. So truly we were already in a forward bend because we were not standing up straight, but just a little bit more of a forward bend. Good. Just looking forward for a moment. Sit bones and heels, maybe making contact, but at least tuck your heels underneath the femurs. Just gazing forward like a frog about ready to leap. Good. And then wing your elbows out to the side for a moment. Go ahead and place your forearms down. And if your hips come up, that's fine, but try to rest your forehead on your arms for a moment. So resting the forehead on the arms, your hips can come off the heels if that's comfortable. They can stay right tucked down into the heels, just whatever feels natural to your spine. Good, and then looking forward at the front of your mat, look at the very top of your mat. Reach out your forearms as if you were going to go to the front of the mat. And then scoot out your forearms as you bring your hips up. So hips are up, you're on your knees and your forearms. Good. And then bring your knees back together underneath. So getting that nice long line right there. And from this space, take some cat poses. So arching the spine, neutral, arch in the other direction, and neutral. Exhale to arch. Inhale, neutral. Exhale, arch. Inhale, neutral. One more set. Press into the forearms and the feet and the legs. Good. And then coming up onto your hands and knees. Excellent. Finding your space right there. Good. And then again, taking your hips back to your heels, walking your hands back beside you, and sitting up nice and tall. Vajrasana, Thunderbolt Pose. Good. Just sitting in our Thunderbolt for a moment. Let's go ahead and bring the arms out to the side and overhead, and then holding on to your right wrist. You can put your right hand in Gyan Mudra, so touching the index finger with the thumb, and then reaching over. Keep the hips down on the heels. Keep the sit bones firmly planted. So you're just reaching away and arching the right side of the body. Good. And back to neutral. Release the hands. Bring them all the way down. Lift the palms. Bring them all the way up. Good. Shoulders are down, far away from your ears. And then grab onto your left wrist. You can put Jnani Mudra on your left hand. And then arch yourself over, but keep the sit bones firmly down on the heels. And exhale back up. Good. Both arms floating down, fingertips to touch the floor. Excellent. And then we're going to slither through for a moment. Just going to slide yourself right down on the floor into a laying down position. So all the way down. Good. Before we start our forward bending, we want to continue with a little bit of back bending. Nothing otherworldly, but just to get the spine really flexible and make sure that we understand the difference between our thoracic spine, where we have ribs, and our lumbar spine, headed down below the ribs to the sacral area. So now you're in Sphinx pose with your elbows underneath your shoulders and just relaxing, just let go. You can let your heels rock out to the side, toes to touch, relaxing your sit bones, relaxing your hips, your gluteus relaxing, gazing forward. And don't let your shoulders slump. Press into the forearms on the floor. Let your neck be long. Gazing forward. Pull in the belly. Feel the pelvic floor lift into the body. Good, and then point your toes and take the whole 10 toenails deeply into the floor, reaching through. So feeling your hamstrings and your quadriceps both engaged, toes are pointed, toenails are all on the floor. Little toe side especially, knees will lift. Keep the belly in. Good. And then slowly wing out your elbows, lower down to your low ribs. And then bring your whole body to the floor, head to one side, relax your shoulders. And then bring forehead or chin to touch, forehead or chin to touch. And then slowly peel off forehead or chin and let that bring up your shoulders, your chest, and exhale, release. Inhale, bring it up, keep the belly engaged. Chest breath, not breathing into the belly, keeping the belly engaged and your breath is in the thoracic area. Ribs are spreading. And release, following your breath. Inhaling, lift. Keep your hands heavy as if you had 20-pound bowling balls in either palm. Keep the belly engaged. 2 more. And then forehead to touch, chin to touch. Turn your head to the other side. Relax your shoulders, relax your heels out to the side. Relax. Good. And then bring forehead or chin back to touch. Bring your hands underneath your shoulders. Curl your toes under. Make sure your knees are firmly on the floor. You're going to push the hands and knees again. Good. Walk your knees in until they're right underneath your hips. Again, your hands are right underneath your shoulders. And take a cat arch. Nice big arch. And hold the arch and take 4 breaths. Belly is in, chest is in the breath, and breath's in the chest.
Press into the ball of the index finger. Look back and make sure you cannot see your heels. They're hidden behind your legs. Gaze at your belly button. And then come back into neutral on an inhale. Good. So we're going to go up slowly. And some of us are going to, if you're inverting, I'd like for you to take mountain pose, often called downward facing dog. So I'd like for you to do mountain if you are inverting. If you're not inverting, I want you just to do plank, and you can even do it with your knees down. But that means you're going to take your knees quite a bit further back to do plank, okay? With the knees down. I still want to plank with the body. If you're inverting, go ahead and come up into mountain. Breathe. Bend your knees greatly. Press into your hands and press back to the wall behind you with your hips. Get really low in the body. Pull the belly in. Press into your hands. Take your hips way back. And then begin to straighten the legs to come up onto the tippy toes. If you're in plank, just stay there holding your belly. And then exhale as you begin to lower the heels toward the floor. They do not need to touch. Toward the floor. Also in a nice forward bend. Inhale, begin to look forward. Bring the body into plank. Wiggle your feet back if you need. Good. And then walk your hands all the way back, just to where they're still comfortable on the floor. Bend your knees as much as you need to, looking forward. Bring the hands to above the knees. Take an inhale, and then exhale. Up, purple. Okay? So I want us to play with two standing forward bends. And they both can be inversions. So I want you to be careful about that. Okay? So we're going to do Chatushpada Kavandasan, which is our four-legged ghost pose, where we're coming over. So watch the two ways. Coming over, hinging at the hips. I'm taking my whole torso with me. I'm not bending anything at the waist. The waist stays as a part of the torso. Okay, so super important. So I can take it like this if I'm not inverting. I can put a block here if I'd like. If I'm inverted, this is still very much of a forward bend. If I am inverting, I want you to let go. You can even walk your hands back as far as feels comfortable and let the back round naturally. Upper back, pull back, rounding naturally. You can stay long for a few breaths and then surrender. So you decide. If you're not inverting, you're looking forward the whole time and probably up on a block so your head isn't low. Good. Okay? So whichever version of Chatushpada Kavandasan you are in right now. Breathing. So looking forward or surrendering completely. You decide what's best for you. Make sure your heels are behind your second and third toe. You can bend a slight bit on your knees, and your second and third toe are in the same exact direction. They're both headed to the front of the mat. Nothing to the side, no rotation on the legs, just abduction. Pull in the belly. Pelvic floor is lifted. And then wherever you are, slowly beginning to gaze forward, press into the floor or the block. Bring your hands to up right at the hip crease. Take an inhale and exhale up. Good. Heel toe until you feel your Tadasana and standing nice and still for just a moment. Find stillness in the body. Good breathing. Excellent. And then on an inhale, open your eyes. So the next one we're going to do is Hastapadasana, hand to foot pose. So as we go over, again, if you're not inverting, your pose might be with the chair or the wall. Also, this is a fine way for you to take this pose. You do not have your hands to your feet, but you're still taking your forward bend.
So you decide where it's lined up for you, and then you can look forward. Or coming all the way. Knees can stay as bent as you'd like. Paschimottanasana, hand to foot pose. You can even put your hands underneath your feet if that's a possibility for you. You can try it out. But the knees can stay as deeply bent as you'd like. That will stop any kind of hamstring restriction. Your hips are always being fought after between your hamstrings and your quadratus lumborum, the space between your top of your pelvic basket and your low ribs. Breathe. And then beginning to gaze forward. Everybody looking forward. Glue in your elbows. Take your hands to your thighs. Don't press back into the knees, into the thighs. Take an inhale. And exhale, press into your legs or come off with your arms. And up. Again, finding your Tadasana. And breathing. Good. So one more time, back out to Chatushpada Kavanasana. And this time as we take our, coming out as if you were going to do some calisthenics, bring your arms out to the side. And we are going to do a little bit of calisthenics. We're just going to reach over, think about toe touching. Just let the arms be like a windmill. So just reaching over close to the toe. You can always go to right at the top of the shin. You don't have to go very far. You can go touch the space right at the knee, not pressing into the knee. Side to side, keep going. Come all the way back up each time. Last one, and be still for a moment. Relax your arms. Arms relaxing completely. Draw up the pelvic floor, pull in the belly. Good, and then let's heel toe. Finding our Tadasana. Good. And then we're going to come back down to all fours, but we're going to come down gradually. So coming down into your squat. Upaveshasana. Toe balance. Release the arms to the hands to the thighs, gazing forward. Go ahead and put your hands on your low back. Feel your lumbar curve. And then counterbalancing by reaching forward with your arms as you start to draw your torso towards your thighs and your heels toward the floor. Just reaching, reaching, reaching. And if it's comfortable for you, put your hands on the floor and release your heels to the floor. Just breathing for a moment, just staying where you are, letting your back round. Gravity is helping. Bring the chin into the chest, look down at your big toes. Good, and then using your hands to support you, lower your bottom down to the floor and extend the legs out in front into Dandasana, staff pose. Toes are flexed back towards you. Legs are engaged, don't lock your knees, but keep them soft. Press through the heels and the soles of the feet evenly. Flex the toes back. Hips are engaged. You may want to move the flesh out for a moment, just sitting nice and tall in Dandasana. Good, pressing through the feet. So the legs are very active right now. The upper body is soft, floating. Lots of space. You can roll your shoulders both directions. Move your head. Upper body very soft and lower body totally engaged. Pull in your belly. Pelvic floor is lifted. Keeping this engagement at this right angle. So this is mountain pose, downward facing dog on its side. If we were in downward facing dog, we'd be just like this. Okay, so just being here, we're not using the shoulders, the arms. Good. And then for a moment, just let your feet relax out to the side. Flop the legs open. Good. Just a little bit of massage into the quadriceps, into the tops of the thighs. Good. And then re-engage the feet, toes up toward the ceiling. Go ahead and pull in your left foot and place your left sole of the foot along your right thigh. Heel toward the groin. If your left knee is not on the floor, place a block or a pillow or something underneath it and support it fully. Bring yourself upright. Make sure you're on both sit bones. Move the flesh out of the way, whatever you need to do. Good. So Janu Shirshasana, which is the pose we're about to attempt, is really Shira, this part of your head, and your knee, that relationship. So it's not a matter of laying yourself out and getting long in the spine, although that's also very beneficial, and you're so welcome to do that to start. But it's really about beginning to curl the thoracic spine, tuck the chin into the chest, bringing the crown of the head toward the knee, creating that relationship, Shira to Janu, Janu to Shira. And then gazing out and pressing back up, okay? So I'm not sure if you did that with me or not, so let's try one more time, okay? So first, just sitting firmly on your sit bones, leg is in external rotation. Press through the heel, keep that heel on the floor. So let's start initially by just creeping our hands out until we get to our stop, our first stop where we're going. Now I'm gonna start moving into my low back. So no more. Not moving any more into your low back. Now I want you purposefully to move into your thoracic spine. So I want you, as you exhale, to begin to curl your shoulders forward. Begin to tuck your chin into your chest and round your upper spine, your spine where you have ribs. Creating that circuit of energy between the crown of the head, forehead, crown of the head area, between the knee and that area. Just breathing. Keep tucking in. Pull in the belly. Pull in the pelvic floor. Tuck in. Tuck in. Breathing into that same area that you're pulling in, moving in. Back body is full of breath. And then press into your hands on the floor, somewhere close to your knee. Begin to gaze out past your foot, heel the chin off the chest, gaze out past, and walk your hands back as you come up slowly. Do not use your low back muscles. Use your hands and your arms. Excellent. Relax your shoulders. And then release the left leg all the way down. Back into Dandasana. Toe knuckles can touch, heels are spread. That guarantees that there's no external rotation. So you want your second and third toes, big toes up toward the ceiling. Toe knuckles can touch, but the heels are separate. Good. And now go ahead and bend the right leg. Put the right sole of the foot along the thigh. If it's not touching the floor, put it on a block. Even if it is touching the floor, it can be a lot more comfortable with the block. Move the flesh off of the sit bones. Sitting up nice and tall. Left foot is flexed. Knee is gently bent, just enough for me to know I'm not locking my knee and pressing it to the floor. Good. And again, and we'll do it twice because some of you did it twice. So just creeping out slowly, tucking the chin into the chest, breathing into the back body as you pull in your belly.
hollowing out the space on the front body, front chest, and spreading, rounding the back body, all of the ribs. Chin is tucking in, forehead tucking in, and then gaze out past your foot. Come on, walk your hands up. Okay, and then one more time. For those of you who did it twice, keep going. Walking your hands and fingers out. Keep them somewhere close to your knee. Press into the floor with your hands and curl your body in. Pull in the belly. Pull in the chest and open the back chest. Breathe. Tuck the chin. Your low back is stable and your thoracic spine is curling, curling. And on your next inhale, peel the chin off the chest, gaze out past the foot, press into your hands, and then use your hands to walk back up, slowly coming back up, back into a neutral spot, being still for just a moment. Flex the left foot, press through the heel. Good. And then release the leg down. Good. Both legs reaching through. Excellent. Good. And then now let's bring both legs in, soles of the feet together. Again, if you have your blocks and you want to support your legs, even if you're on your tall side of your block, let's try to support our legs for just a moment. So it doesn't really matter as long as they're supported and can relax. You're on top of your sit bones. You may need to put a little blanket or something underneath your sit bones to give you a little bit of a pelvic tilt toward your feet. So wherever you are is perfect. That's a little too high for me, okay? So find the space that your legs feel supported, fully supported so that you can relax the groin muscles for just a moment. Hold on to your shins or your feet or wherever you feel good holding on. Press into the sit bones and lift up through the spine. Make your head an extension of your spine. Go ahead and just add a little head movement here. So keep your chest and sternum exactly stable and take just your face and head out to the left. Feel the squeeze in the throat area. And then on your next exhale, bring it back into neutral. Good. And then on an inhale, taking it out to the right side, just the face and the head. Sternum stays to the front, working in your cervical spine. Good. And then bring it back. Exhale it back into neutral. Good. And then chin reaching up toward the ceiling. Don't let your head go completely. Keep control. And then bring it into neutral. And then again, tucking the chin into the chest, rounding the back of the cervical spine, your neck. And inhaling, bringing it back into neutral. Good. Okay. So now let's see if your legs relaxed a little bit. And maybe if you were up here, you can now go to there. Maybe if you were here, you can go to there. So just see if there's any difference in how your legs feel after you've relaxed a little bit. Hopefully you were able to relax a little bit. If not, no big deal. It's fine. You may do it tomorrow. Pull the toes apart. Keep the ball of the feet and the heels together so you're seeing a nice big arch in between your feet. Good. And then hold on to your shins and begin to draw yourself forward just a little bit. Good. Breathe. Don't forget to breathe. You're not holding the breath. And then on your exhale, push back. Good. Let's inhale and fill the breath. Hold it. Lean forward a little bit. Hold. Exhale the breath. Inhale. Take a nice breath. And exhale back upright. Good. Inhale where you are. Exhale, come forward this time on the exhale breath. Inhale. Exhale where you are. And inhale, let the breath fill you as you rise up.
Good. And then let's take the whole body from the rib cage. So the whole lower part of the body from your belly button down doesn't move at all, okay? We're going to take our head. This time we are going to lead with our head. We're going to take our face and our head out toward the left. And then slowly letting your body follow that over to the left. Just keeping it in the thoracic spine. Gazing out to the left, no further. Don't gaze all the way back behind you. Just keeping it contained. And then on your next exhale, release the head back to the center. Keep the chest where it is. And your next exhale, chest back to center. Good. Same thing on the other side. So right side, just the head and the face. And then on your next inhale, let the breath creep in as you creep yourself over toward the right side, sternum headed that way. The hips are heavy into the floor. Good. And then bring just the head back into neutral, looking forward. Keep your sternum and your chest over to the right side. Next exhale, bring it back into neutral. Good. And see what that little bit of space into your thoracic spine does for you to bring yourself forward. One more time. You can tuck your chin in a little bit, look down at your feet. Look at the big toes, spread the toes apart. You can do your toe exercise here. Little toe, next toe, third toe, fourth toe, big toe, pressing in. Pull them apart, big toe, second toe, third toe, fourth toe, fifth toe. Taking your mind off of everything else for just a moment. Press into the ball of the foot, into the heels, spread the toes apart. Good. And then slowly begin to exhale and pull the belly into the spine. Curl the chest as if you were going to take the crown of your head toward your feet, toward the arches. And for some of you, you will be able to tuck the crown of your head into the arches of your feet. That's not a goal, just what some of you will be able to do. But regardless, just like Janu Shirshasana, Pada Shirshasana, foot to head pose. Breathe. Spine is rounded, tucked in. And then on your next inhale, begin to gaze out past your feet, way out past, look way out past, let your head be what brings your whole spine upright, press into your arms. Good, and coming upright, completely upright. Good. And then bring your knees with help back together. Good, spread your feet, take your feet and legs out in front, Dandasana. Great. And then we're gonna see about Paschimottanasana, our westward stretch. So the westward side of the body is the whole back side of the body. So from our heels to our bottom to the crown, back of the head, right? So the whole back side, the dorsal side, where the whole fin, the whole back of the body. So when we are doing our pose of leaning forward into Paschimottanasana, for many of us who have tight hamstrings, we have to decide what part of the body we are westwardly stretching, right? And if we stretch too much through our hamstrings, they're going to ache and hurt, but they're also going to pull our low back out of balance. So, for example, I know I have tight hamstrings, and I have this little tiny bolster that's filled with air, and I'm going to put it underneath my knees so that I give a little bit of a break to my knees. You can also put the blocks there, or you can roll up a towel, or you can put a pillow or something there. But I'm starting with my knees bent, and that will help me greatly. Another thing that's going to help me greatly is putting a little lift under my tailbone so that I can have a little bit of a pelvic tilt for the other direction. That already helped me tilt my spine toward my thighs, okay? So sitting up tall and finding your lumbar curve initially. Make sure you have a little bit of your curve there. And yes, you will lose it as you go forward, but you want to go forward gradually and smooth. So lift the pelvic floor and begin to take your hips towards your thighs. I mean, your upper hip basket, your pelvic basket towards your thighs. Keep the knees toward the ceiling, feet toward the ceiling, no rocking them out to either side, no external rotation, no internal rotation. Get to your stopping point. I'm at mine. You can look and see, it's not very far. And if you are looking and seeing, hold and watch for just one moment, okay? So that's as far as that's going. The rest of it is going to come where I have ribs. So as I begin to walk my hands out and surrender, it's coming from my upper back, from my rib cage up. My low back is not moving any more than it was. And now I am surrendering. You can take a pillow, a blanket. So bringing yourself into this forward bend, just seeing if you can relax body, breath, and mind. You could come off a little bit. You can put 2 or 3 pillows. And for those of you who this is really a stretch, I'm going to show you my favorite way to do it when you have restrictions. Grab your chair. Put your legs through your chair. And rest your upper body on the seat of the chair. So wherever you are, anywhere in between. And regardless of where you are, put your hands somewhere on the floor, close to your hips, close to your knees, close to wherever. And then press into your hands and begin to straighten your arms to come up. Not using your back muscles. Use your hands and arms to help take the weight of bringing you back upright. Sitting still for a moment in Dandasana. Check in with yourself. Just noticing how you feel. Body, breath, mind. And for those of you for whom that forward bend felt delicious, I want to give you an option. This is not for everybody, so please don't throw yourself into it. I want you to look at it first and then you decide. If you loved Paschimottanasana, and if you are inverting, Tranquility Pose, Nishilasana is Paschimottanasana upside down. So watch and you decide if this is the pose for you. So I'm just here bringing my legs into the body, lifting my hips up, walking my hands back, and finding that happy space. You can see that this is Paschimottanasana, but I'm going to keep my head on the ground. And if that feels good, wonderful. Otherwise, do not do it. Do not do it. Just do your legs up the wall, legs, feet on a chair. You can do Vipari. I would just do something really relaxing right now. And you might want to just go right into your Shavasana. Okay? So you decide what's the pose for you for now. Nishilasana, tranquility, or an inversion, or just starting your Shavasana now. Wherever you are, make sure your breath is relaxed. You're not holding anything. So if you aren't yet in corpse pose, make your way there. Lying on the floor, Body completely relaxed. Babaji says this is the most challenging of all the poses. That ability to surrender to gravity, Mother Earth. Taking inventory of the body, sending love, breath, acceptance to your toes, your feet, your shins, your calves, your knees, your legs, the whole leg, your pelvic basket, your waist, the trunk, the head, to the fingertips, the hands, the wrist, forearms, elbows, upper arms, shoulders, letting your whole body surrender. Breath is soft and shallow, just enough to sustain you. Send a little extra love into the back body. Start at the crown of the head, coming down the spine, all the way to your tailbone. Out to the hips and down the back of the legs, all the way to the heels. A little extra love to the westward side of your body. Softening. Slowly and gently bringing your awareness into the breath. Notice it, find it in the belly or the chest. Noticing the rise and the fall. Letting your eyes roll in the sockets in one direction, then the other. Letting your tongue roam the mouth, back of the teeth, the roof of the mouth. Swishing it along the front of the teeth, and then opening the mouth wide as if you were yawning. beginning to swim the fingers and twinkle the toes. And then you have a choice how you'll make your way over to one side, either side in embryo pose. You can stretch out, you can shrink in, you can do both, you can do neither. Just making your way slowly over to one side, curled up. Find again that embryonic C curve in the body. Tucking the chin to the chest, legs are headed towards your face, knees are toward the face. Curled up, just like in the womb. And notice the breath here, headed to the back body, the westward body. Front side is compressed, breathing gently into the back ribs. Breath can be shallow, but send it to the back ribs. For just a moment, send the breath to the area of the left kidney, right underneath the low ribs on the left side. Send the breath there. Feel the left kidney area swell with the inhale and recoil with the exhale. Let it go. And then send it over to the right kidney area. Breathing into that area, swelling out the right kidney area. Below the low ribs on the right side. And then letting it recoil back. So breathing a few breaths into that kidney area. And then letting the breath fall back into its natural pattern, wherever it is. Using the upper arm, putting the hand on the floor in front of you. Keep your chin tucked into your chest. Begin to push the floor away and spiral yourself up gradually. Last thing you do is just placing the head on top of the spine. Tall spine. Supporting your seat again. You may need to put blankets or pillows underneath your bottom or your knees. Wherever you need support, get it now. We're going to take a few abdominal breaths, and you're going to hear a little sound as you take this breath. I want you to exhale and use your abdominal muscles to push the belly back toward the spine, and then I want you to release the abdominal muscles and let the breath push in through the nose. Exhale, belly to spine, pull in, use all the abdominal muscles, and release the muscles, and the breath rushes in. A few more abdominal breaths. Use the muscles and then relax the muscles and let the breath just rush in with a little sound. Exhale it out. As you do this, reminding yourself of the symbiotic relationship that you have with Mother Earth. Breathing in the oxygen, breathing out the CO2. Her breathing in the CO2, breathing out your oxygen. Just symbiotic relationship. Keep going, belly breathing. And then on your next exhale, pull your belly back to the spine, then release it, let it come in, and then no more control. Just letting the breath go where it will. Keeping it soft and shallow, again, just enough to sustain you as we move into a meditation. Our meditation this morning on the breath itself, but rather than focusing on you, focus on your giving the breath to Mother Earth. So noticing your exhale and giving it with love. Inhale in what's offered, and And noticing your exhale and giving it with love. No more of a challenge. Following the breath with love and surrender. No control, belly or chest, wherever it happens to reside. Exhale, love and surrender. Inhale, what's offered. Consciously letting your palms face the sky, upright position, receiving, continuing to receive the breath that the universe offers and giving your breath with love. Slowly and gently flip your palms over, bringing yourself back into an area of containment. Releasing your concentration on the breath, letting the meditation float away. Just noticing the difference of concentration and not concentration. Where does your mind first go? Just notice. No judgment. Total acceptance. Just notice. Bringing the hands into the heart, Anjali. Any merit that we may have earned this morning in our very diligent practice of yoga, we lift it up to the welfare of all sentient beings. Think for a moment about your intention, bring it back into your mind space, ponder it. What did you say you needed? And what are you willing to give? What are you willing to offer the universe? Letting those two thoughts slip out of your mind down into your heart. And then consciously out of your heart into the very palms of your hands. And then lift them up and let them go off into this wonderful universe that surrounds us. Bringing the hands back into the heart. Hari Om Tat Sat. Namaste. Okay, I'm coming to you. I'll be right there. After 2 days of forward bending in a row, my quadriceps are singing. Lots of asana, lots of forward bending, and lots of quadricep movement. So I can feel it. Don't think you're alone. Let me fix it where you can talk. Great, and now let me get it where I can see you all. Excellent. We shrunk in size, and that's not surprising. It was 6 a.m. in California. Thanks, Cam and Wendy, Jana, yeah, Sylvia, woo, Patty. Patty, thank you for yesterday. Thank you, sweetheart. I really appreciate that. Thank you. Yeah, it's really early for you guys. Jean, where are you? You're muted, sweetie. I can't hear you.
I'm in New Jersey.
Okay, so it's an hour later for you. You're lucky.
It's 9 o'clock. It was 9 o'clock.
But for Nayana and Cam, almost most people on the screen, it's just Antonia and I that are here in Guatemala. So, woo, you guys are up early at it. Yeah, and I saw Maggie was here for a while. I know she had to leave early. Yeah. So nice to have you. How was that for you? Were you ready for forward bends? I realize it takes a bit to be ready for forward bending. How was that?
Well, since I'm still unmuted, I'll tell you, for me, it was challenging in the last seated forward bend. So I tried the chair, but my chair is not the right chair. So it has a rung really low, but I just kind of adapted to that. So, and then when I did that, I came back and did another pillow under me.
So I'm going to show you the very best forward bend for you to practice with, Jean. So I'm sitting upright, and all I'm going to do is just spread my legs a tiny bit, just enough that I can get my breast down in there. Poke my tailbone back. So I have 0 hamstrings in this equation. My legs are bent completely, so I don't have any hamstring tightness, and I can completely relax in the forward bend. And it is so good. And then when I'm coming up, notice how I'm doing it. I'm using my arms, not my back muscles. I put my hands firmly, and out of the fulcrum of my arms, I came up.
Okay.
So that is a back bend that we can do while we're sitting at our computer, you know, and this is a good cat-cow for your computer. So you do your forward bend for a little bit. You come up, scoot to the edge of your chair, and do a back bend so that you open heart and chest, and then you close down and relax the body. So if your goal is relaxing, you do forward bend, 1 back bend, forward bend. If your goal is stimulating, you do back bend, 1 forward bend, back bend. Okay?
Okay, thanks. Thank you.
Chair is like divine, to just like let go and let gravity do it for you. Yeah, anybody else? Anything else that you felt or wished you hadn't felt when you did it? Sylvia.
I don't know if I have the right name, but Janu Shashana?
Janu Shirshasana.
Janu Shashasana. I really love doing it with the spine curve. Like I haven't done it like that in a long time. And I felt like the stretch was totally different in different parts. I found it even a little more challenging than the one with the completely spine. Maybe that's because the other one is the one that I'm using. lately, but I thought it was a discovery.
Yeah, you know, the pose isn't like, they could have said chin to knee pose or chin to shin pose, because that's kind of what people are doing a lot nowadays, you know, chin to shin. So you're, you know, like you're reaching out and you're trying to put your chin down on your shin, like, because you stay all that long with no curve. So you should get to where you go with no curve, and then you should curl and tuck so that you get that relationship. And you know, Shira, anywhere between here and here, here in your third eye, any of that area to your knee, so that you're really curled and creating that circuit of energy, right? So I love it like that. I think it gives you a whole different way of being. And I also really like rabbit pose, which has that complete curl there. But I am so long-waisted. Yesterday, when I did the video with Sean to show our beginning students what rabbit pose looks like, I said, you have to tell them this is not what it's supposed to look like. Because I am so long-waisted and such short little legs, even though I'm 5'8", but you would not know that by the size of my legs, and my torso is so long. So because the cue is to put your knees to your shins. I mean, to your knees to your forehead, right? So I'll let you laugh. So the cue is to, and this is a great pose for everybody that can actually do it, but here's a modified pose. So you curl, 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 but theoretically you would have your hands on your ankles and your forehead on your legs. Can you see how far that is? But there are people who I can curl and get it that far, but I can't go any further. And it's an inversion, so I'm just going to stay for a second because it's a complete inversion. It has all the benefits of headstand. But that's one that's anatomically impossible for me. So, we all have our anatomy things that we just have to realize that we're not ever going to look like anybody else doing those poses. And that's one of mine. Yeah. Hi, Antonia. It's nice to see you.
Ginger, this was perfect. Hi. Yeah. Class for me, my back was really, really sore today, and it really helped. But I was really surprised by when I head down, it really hurt in my sciatic nerve on both sides. Like when I would curl down, that was so sore. Like
when you did Janu Shirshasana,
it was surprising to me.
It broke up for just a second, and I didn't hear the pose. It was Janu Shirshasana that did that. Was it the forehead to knee pose? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And
forehead to knee. Yep.
And when you did forehead to knee, which sciatic hurt? The one on the bent leg or the one on the straight leg?
The one on the straight leg.
Okay. All right. So now you were missing a little bit of tilt and squeezing into your piriformis. So I want you to try this later, and like later today, like as soon as we get off the phone, so you can see kind of if it makes a difference. So when you're there, like lift yourself up, like really press your sit bones down and lift up through your chest, really lift up through your chest. Head forward a little bit, and then pull your back and undulate for a few times. So like head forward a little bit, and you're sitting way up on your sit bone, right? And I'm going to try to show you what it is going to look like out there. So I will put the straight leg out and the bent leg here. So the first thing I have to do is make sure I'm right on top of my sit bone. And I can put something under there. And this sit bone has to be even with this sit bone. So sometimes, like, I will show you even from the back. I'll go like that, make sure that sit bone is really firmly down. And then come up and lean forward a little bit and back. And forward a little bit and back. But where I'm working that is, so up, I have to bring that leg back and put it in. And then I'm gonna, so I'm really working my thoracic spine. And I'm only taking my lumbar as far as it's comfortable. Because where I want the activity is in my thoracic spine. So that undulating back and forth, okay? And then when I'm ready to go, I'm ready to okay? So everybody can also try that as a way of getting into there, that undulating. Because the reason that you're undulating is to really open up that whole thing. Did you just try it while you did you do it with me? So I want you to do it, Antonio, after, because I can't tell right now because you keep freezing a little bit, but I want to know if you do that and you sit up and you pull that sit bone back, if you free your sciatic.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, because I think if you just pull that sit bone back and work in this whole upper part so that it's going to understand that's where it comes from, not down in the piriformis. It's really like all of this stuff up in here that you want to curl. And it lets you curl that rib cage. And then I think also pulling that sit bone back.
I'll try it and I'll text you.
Okay, yeah, you do. Okay, I'll wait to hear. Yes. And I'll may have your mother video it for me. Yeah. Okay.
So Ginger, are you sort of changing the message to your brain as well about where it's supposed to come from?
Well, I'm sure you are. I mean, I'm sure you are really telling you don't want it to come from your low back. You really want it to come from curling in that rib cage. So I think when you start, really moving that part, you start to see, oh, that is a separate thing. I don't have to take it all in my low back. I can start curling my chest. And then you'll start to feel that space in between all the intercostals, all of the rib cage. You'll feel all of that space in there on the back body and the compression on the front body. This is great for people with scoliosis, right? To work with this. And also when we sent the breath to the kidneys, did you guys feel that you could do that? So that kidney breath too is really good for scoliosis. Like the person on their tight side would send the breath into that kidney on their tight side, right? And not send it to the other side, just let the other side be. So,
For me, it was interesting that I felt it a lot, but then I realized I was feeling it in the exhalation. So but then I switched it and it was harder to feel, but it was beautiful because I've never sent it there and I have kidney things and it felt like just very exciting for me to try it more.
Yeah, I think we can be very intentional muscularly. The breath goes where it goes, but we can really say to those muscles, open a little bit and let that breath come in there. Yeah. Anything else about the practice? Anybody? Anything at all?
Ginger?
Yeah.
I want to say that Tuesday when you were directing us to different areas of our body to breathe, it was very new to think of that. And last night in my sleep, but in my awake, kind of in my sleep, I was on my side and it was almost freaking me out because I was breathing so much into my back body. It seemed to never end. It seemed like I was breathing so much into my back body that I was filling myself up like a bubble all behind me. And it happened like 3 breaths that I thought I was going to float to the ceiling.
Wow. Wow. That's fabulous. That is fabulous. It just shows that we can, there, you can't really move where the breath goes. It's just in the lungs. But the intention of where prana goes, oh my goodness, the mind directs that prana. And it is beyond, that is not limited to breath. That is our energy. And that energy can go anywhere we send it. Anywhere. Yeah.
Very good.
Fascinating stuff, huh? Woo! Okay, everybody. Well, my tummy says it's breakfast time. It's really hard on Tuesdays to make it until 10:15 for breakfast. Let me tell you, I'm gonna have to get a new routine. I have to get up at 4 and have breakfast at 7, so I've got time between then and class. Okay, have a great weekend, and I'll see you, good Lord willing, and the creek don't rise on Tuesday morning at 9 o'clock here in Guatemala, and 7 o'clock in California, 7 a.m., 9 a.m. Okay. Have a good one, everybody.